Let's talk about the SAG negotiations. They've been going on for a while. We know the WGA is still on strike. They're going on their third month in the strike now, and it doesn't look like there's an end in sight to that. However, SAG recently, their contract with the AMPTP did expire at the end of July, at the end of June, I should say. But now we are at basically in the middle of no man's land, if metaphorically speaking. But recently they announced that there's going to be an extension on the talks. So Angelina, where are the SAG negotiations at, and where are they headed?
So as of June 30th, when the clock struck midnight, SAG's contract was expired. Prior to that, Fran Drescher, the SAG president, was in negotiations. So both sides sort of thought, hey, negotiations, we're making some headway. We're not there yet. So they've all agreed to extend the contract until July 12th as of right now. So essentially the next week and a half is going to be no man's land. The contract is up. They're extending the contract sort of temporarily while they try to handle everything for the new contract. As of like 2 days ago, when I sat down and I did a lot of research on where we're at right now, they haven't made the headway they wanted. There are like over 300 celebrities that are gung-ho and ready to strike. International guilds are not hopping on the actor strike like they were hopping on the WGA strike, which is quite surprising. I'll touch a little bit more on this on Quick Hits, which is going to be a new segment here at Oh So Curious, but it's really interesting. Internationally, guilds are like, we don't want to strike. Like, we don't want to do that. They're treading very lightly, whereas internationally, international guilds, writers guilds were very supportive of the WGA. So that sort of tells you where we're at right now. I think SAG doesn't want to strike. Obviously, they will if they have to. There are like 300 big celebrities in support of it. Internationally, not so much. We don't want to strike. We're trying to work it out. And, originally the contract was only supposed to be extended until July 7th. The fact that they extended it to July 12th to give it more time tells me that both sides really don't want to strike.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 weeks. That's like a 2 week extension. So just for like a layman's terms, like basically what that means, and then you can tell me if I'm wrong, but the contract that was already in place is still in effect, so that if you are working any SAG contract projects, you're still able to do that. Like you can still go to a casting, you can still go to the shoot that you have been cast in already until we get to a point where they do strike. There was this big letter that came out of a couple of days ago from like a bunch of like big A-list actors, as well as a number of, it was like 300 actors or something. They all signed it, and they said, look, we don't need to take a deal here, we don't need to compromise, we are willing to go on strike. Which I guess when the biggest, the most well-known names are putting it out there, that means that they're willing to take the hit too. However, it's not them who's going to be hurting the most if the strike does happen.
That's kind of my point. So, is like, how many of those A-list actors are actually going to show up to the front lines and go strike?
Right. And even if they did, I'm like, their bank accounts are not going to hurt as much. Their, the ability to pay their bills is not going to be as affected as the thousands of people who are basically having to hustle every day for their next gig to make their ends meet. Now, let's see where this thing goes. It's going to be very interesting to see where the negotiations go from here. Obviously, we still have the WGA strike happening. They have not come back to the table. It looks like the AMPTP is not going back to that negotiation until at least the SAG one is done. The DGA got their deal. Hopefully, we'll have a resolution to this soon, because all of Hollywood is literally hanging in the balance on this, because otherwise, whatever production is left is going to get shut down.
Yeah, so. Literally the only thing still fully in full swing are soap operas, because those were written way before. And so they're still filming and still coming out. But so many late night shows have gone dark. So many shows are waiting on castings. Even just as an actor on the ground, commercials are popping out left and right. Commercial auditions left and right. Theatrical auditions, unless you're going for like a short film and you can't even really do SAG shorts, or they're trying to do like micro budget SAG shorts, there's nothing going on right now. Casting directors are not casting, people are not putting up stuff for agents to submit. It's all just waiting right now.
Yeah. I mean, and that's affecting a lot of people's livelihoods. So let's hope that we get not only the SAG situation resolved soon, but hopefully the WGA can come back to the table and they can hammer out a deal as well. So we'll be following the story here at Also Curious, and we'll get back to you guys with more updates as they develop. But until then, keeping our fingers crossed that SAG and the AMPTP can strike a deal.